Well, I have had the heart problems since I was born. I had a congenital heart defect called.
Okay.
The heart defect required 3 surgeries before I was the age of 2.
How do you feel about your chances that you're going to be cleared and get your medical? So you're starting your training in September, your pilot training, or you're resuming the training?
I have done quite a lot of training already. I
Okay.
started training even when I was told I wouldn't pass the medical.
Okay.
And then September will make a certain amount of time since after my heart surgeries, my heart transplant that is, that they'll let me do the mandatory testing to get my medical certification. So they tell me as of then I should be able to. I almost have the hours now.
Let's go back in time a little bit. Let's back it up. Let's talk first about what came first, your desire and start of flight training or the problems you started having with your heart?
Well, I have had the heart problems since I was born. I had a congenital heart defect called.
Okay.
So the heart defect required 3 surgeries before I was the age of 2 to
Wow.
correct the problem. So the one half of the heart would do all the work because the left side never grew properly. And from the time I was really little, when I took a lot of interest in the little airplanes, took my first flight in a general aviation airplane because of my medical situation. The hospital had a Dreams and Wings program, it's called, where pilots in the local area in Ann Arbor would take you up on a flight, go around the University of Michigan Stadium. Super cool. And that day got me hooked on a long trail of spending money, lots of money.
Right.
And then I knew I wanted to take lessons. And my parents said, you can't take lessons till you have your driver's license. So that was their rule.
Okay.
So I turned 16, and then I said, okay, I'm 16. Can I start taking my lessons? And then COVID hit. So then I started taking my lessons about 2021, early 2022, when I was finishing up at high school. And I've taken them since then. And in September of 2022, I was waiting. I was on the transplant list for my heart for a while, for about 2 years before that. And in September of 2022, after many weeks in the hospital, I finally got my heart transplant.
Okay, let me ask you this. So you were born with the congenital heart defect.
Yep.
Did you have to wait until you'd kind of finished growing before you could get on the list? Was that kind of the rule, or how does that work?
The surgeries corrected the problem with the hypoplastic left heart syndrome.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's all right.
And the heart worked well for about 15, 16 years.
Oh, okay.
And when I turned 16, they said the heart was squeezing, but it wasn't relaxing.
Okay.
And they have meds to make it squeeze better, but they can't make it relax.
Right.
Only solution is to replace it. So I got listed when I was 16. And
Okay. So you get your driver's license, you get to start pilot license, but oh, by the way, we're going to have to replace your
you
heart.
need a new heart. Yeah.
Okay.
Very, very fun.
So time-wise, you said you didn't start pilot training until right when COVID hit.
Just about, yeah.
So did you try to get a medical when you started your flight training?
When I started my flight training, I went to a local place near me with an AME, and I asked about it, and he said, oh, you're on the transplant list. You're not going to get it. Even before that, I knew that.
Okay.
But he said, come back after, and I'll reevaluate you.
Okay.
Which gave me the hope that it'll happen.
Okay, so that hasn't happened yet.
No.
So you went ahead and started doing training just knowing you couldn't solo.
Yeah, I just couldn't solo yet. And I still can't yet.
Right. How many hours do you have that you've done up to now?
I have about 38 out of the required 40 or so, so I'm almost there with the hours.
Just
My instructor-
none of the solo
Yeah,
time.
just none of the solo time. And my instructor said he's confident with my ability to do the soloing. I
Okay.
just had to have the medical.
Right.
And right after my transplant, about 3 months later, in October, November of 2022, I was cleared to refly again, but I still couldn't get the paperwork.
It's all right.
Some of the tests they require cost a lot of money,
Right.
and insurance wouldn't pay for them unless I need them. So in September, when they do annual checkups on my heart stuff, they do a long list of tests that insurance will cover. So essentially, I'm in a holding pattern, unwantedly, waiting until September, where the insurance will cover the tests that the FAA also wants, and then send off the paperwork and cross the fingers that it comes back good.
Right. Well, how do you feel about your chances in the fall of getting that you're going to be cleared and get your medical?
I feel pretty confident. I've
Okay.
talked to a lot of aviation medical examiners, some other doctor friends, other doctors for my cardiology team who are all good with it.
Okay. What do you want to do after all this, after you get through all this? What are your goals? What are your plans?
Well, I want to get my license for my single engine license. I'd like to get instrument rated for safety, and up
Right.
in Michigan for weather, it's never a bad thing. I've looked into going all the way to get helicopter license
Yeah.
to go work for the medevac companies,
Nice.
the life flight companies. So that would be
So you're going to
sweet.
need a commercial license.
Yeah, you have to for that. And they say they'll pass me for everything. So we'll see. Hopefully.
Well, if you get the medical, I guess initially, are you going to go for a third class, or are you going to go ahead and try to
I'm
get
going to try to get the most I can and
the
see what
first
they'll
class?
give me.
And okay, all right, that's a
The
smart.
examiners I know say they've told me that you should get first.
Okay, yeah, if you get first, that clears you for anything you possibly want to do. Then you can back up. If you get a second, at least you can do a commercial.
Yep.
And now you can do the med flights and things like that. So that's good.
That's part of my experiences being in the hospital for all those weeks. I met up with my local the med flight place that's part of the hospital
Yeah.
system I was at University of Michigan, and I had a lot of interest in aviation already, and I learned a lot more about that and took a lot of interest in medical things given my life condition and stuff. So started studying more of that in college too. That may become another major for medical stuff, maybe go more on for medical school, doctor stuff. We'll see how that goes.
So
Also using the medevac with the license, put the flying with the medicine stuff together.
So plan A is to fly air medical.
Yeah.
Is that plan A?
That's the plan.
And then plan B is college and maybe try to become a medical professional.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Or maybe the two will overlap. We'll kind of see how
Right,
that goes.
right.
That's kind of how it's going right now.
Have you done any helicopter flying yet?
I've been in tourist helicopters.
Right.
I flew in one over the Grand Canyon.
Right.
That was sweet. I've
Yes.
seen all your videos. Check out his videos. They're sweet. And they're really fun, and I certainly would be happy to do more of it.
I'll tell you from experience that flying a helicopter, I love flying fixed wing. Flying a helicopter is more fun than flying a fixed wing. But it was more work, too.
It's essentially retraining, because a lot
yeah.
of the stuff you've learned for all those years, like a friend of mine said, you see that view in an airplane and you're dead in 3 seconds. If
Right.
you're taking off in helicopters and stuff like that.
Oh, it's a total different sight
and
picture.
it's a different feeling.
But the whole thing is like, I'll give you an example. It was really, down in Texas, but it was December, but we had a hot spell come through. We're training with the doors on, and it got so hot, I had sweat pouring down my brow, and I was taxing. We were near the end of the lesson. I was taxing. You don't have a hand to wipe the sweat that's
No.
stinging your eyes. So it is a lot of constant work in a helicopter, and but I tell you what, it's incredible.
Now imagine putting that amount of work into, there's a really critically injured patient, his life's on the line, he's got to go. And they go in all weather conditions, bad,
Yeah.
good, any stuff. In fact, my connection with it too is because my new heart flew on the medevac company.
Oh, wow.
They brought me my new heart to the hospital. It flew on the Learjet, the private jet, to Detroit Metro Airport area, and then it took the helicopter to Ann Arbor. So my heart has more flight hours than I will ever get in my life.
Oh, wow.
It has
Wow.
2 or 3 more than I'll ever be able to make up. I'll never catch up to those amount.
Wow. Okay.
So that's pretty cool.
That is cool. I don't know how this works other than what I see in TV and movies. Do you get to know who had your heart?
There are very secretive rules on that, HIPAA,
Okay.
privacy laws. I really don't know anything. We have sent a letter to the donor family anonymously through the hospital system. They say it could take up to 3 to 5 years on average to even hear anything back. Just
And if they choose
process
to hear
the
something
grief
back.
and the meeting the people. Sometimes it's too hard for people.
Okay. That makes sense.
But it's an incredible special thing. I have a loss of words in how to describe.
I
The fact that someone has
imagine.
to die to prolong my life is a very complex thing.
Wow. Well, Caleb, I really appreciate you taking time here. It sounded fun. Now, you have your own YouTube channel, don't
Yeah,
you?
I do. It's called Caleb's Aviation. I will give you the link. You could put it in the
Yeah,
description.
we'll have it here, and we'll have it in the
Yep.
description.
I have about 650 following right now. I do my my flight lessons. I have some videos on there, trip reports, flying on commercial airlines, behind the scenes stuff. There'll be a video from Sun and Fun, all sorts of cool stuff.
Well, your story is very inspiring, and I love the fact that you're not giving up, that you're you're working through all this, and that's inspiring. So,
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
well, I'm glad you could come and be on the show.
I'm glad to be here. Glad to have you on. I watched all the episodes, so.
You bet. And thank you guys for watching. Don't forget our sponsors. We've got them in the links below. But Flying Eyes, go to flyingeyesoptics.com. Use our discount code, taking off all caps, one word, gets you 10% off. I mean, Caleb's sporting his Flying Eyes. And ClemensInsurance.net. Jerry there saved me a lot of money. Z-Vision, xzvision.com. Brightest landing taxi lights out there. 67 Design, 67D.com. And Marshall Protective Services, MPSprotects.com. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.